Why are so many people feeling it at the same time now? Why are emotions rising without an obvious personal reason? Why are old patterns collapsing faster? And why does the feeling of, "I don't belong here," suddenly feel sharper than it used to? This is the center of what you are sensing. The galactic reset already occurred in the subtler layers of consciousness. What is arriving now is the densified effect of that reset entering the physical plane of Earth. Not as a headline, not as a single event you can point to, but as an inner recalibration spreading through human nervous systems, hearts, and identities. And this is why it is affecting all starseeds. Because starseeds are not defined by a label. They are defined by origin frequency. Many souls living on Earth did not originate here. Their consciousness formed in other stellar fields, other constellations, other worlds. They chose to enter the human experience to assist Earth's evolution from within. This is what seed truly means. A seed is not superiority. A seed is something planted with intention, a latent frequency, a dormant remembrance, a set of inner capacities that remain hidden while the human life is built. And the first condition of that human life is amnesia. Most starseeds enter Earth with a veil, not because something went wrong, but because it must be real. The human experience must be lived fully, not performed from a distance. So memory goes quiet, but it never disappears. It stays in the emotional field, in the sense of not belonging, in the strange homesickness for a place you cannot name, in the sensitivity that makes certain environments feel unbearable, in the way the heart reacts to falsehood faster than the mind can explain. Now, the reset is pressing on those layers. It is not making you spiritual. It is not creating something new. It is activating what was already there. And without emotional regulation, that activation can feel like pressure, anxiety, or instability. This is where we are present. We speak as the Pleiadians, not as a belief system and not as a spectacle. Our function is not to label you, not to convince you, not to accelerate your awakening. Our function is to regulate the emotional field of starseeds so remembrance can return without trauma. Because the heart is the gateway. When the heart is unstable, memory arrives as chaos. When the heart is regulated, memory arrives as clarity. This is why the galactic reset must be met with emotional steadiness. Not everyone will interpret it the same way. Not everyone will call it by the same name. But the effect is universal across starseed lineages. The veil thins. The inner life intensifies. The old social identity feels less convincing, and something deeper begins to move forward inside you. This is why it feels collective. You are not imagining it. The field is changing, and the first stage of this change is not revelation. It is preparation. Preparation of the emotional body to hold more truth. Preparation of the heart to carry higher intensity without collapsing. Preparation of the nervous system to remain coherent while memory reorganizes. Because what is arriving now is not just information. It is frequency, and frequency is felt before it is understood. So if you have been feeling pressure, sensitivity, sudden clarity, or a quiet inner detachment from the old world, understand what that means. It is not that you are breaking. It is that the reset is reaching you. And the purpose of this message is simple: to help you remain stable while it does. What many are beginning to notice now is that this movement is not limited to one origin, one lineage, or one story. Earth has always been a point of convergence. Souls arrived here from many stellar fields, not to dominate or escape, but to participate, to experience density, to contribute frequency from within limitation. This is why starseeds do not share a single personality, culture, or path. What they share is origin beyond Earth and a conscious choice to incarnate H. Some of these souls carry Sirian frequencies. Sirian origin consciousness is deeply connected to structure, rhythm, and planetary stabilization. Many Sirian starseeds feel a strong bond with water, oceans, and the quiet intelligence of nature. They often sense imbalance in systems long before they can explain it. Sirian frequencies act as a stabilizing base. They help higher consciousness anchor into physical reality without causing fragmentation. Others originate from Arcturus. Arcturian frequencies relate to dimensional organization, time awareness, and advanced perception. These starseeds often feel out of sync with linear time and rigid structures. They sense that reality could be arranged in a more coherent way. There are also those from Andromeda. Andromedan origin souls carry a deep impulse toward freedom and sovereignty. They feel discomfort with control-based systems and resist imposed limitations on thought or being. Lyran origin starseeds carry ancient lineages tied to identity and courage. Many feel an inner strength shaped through long cycles of challenge and rebuilding. They often sense that humanity underestimates its own potential. And there are specific Orion lineages. These souls carry lessons learned through duality. They understand shadow not as an enemy, but as something to be integrated rather than denied. None of these origins exist in hierarchy. They form a network, a living system of frequencies that chose to converge on Earth during this cycle. The Galactic Reset does not activate one lineage at the expense of others. It stimulates all of them together. This is why the experience feels collective rather than personal. Why awakenings arise across cultures, ages, and belief systems. What returns now is not memory as information. It is memory as orientation, a sense of direction, a quiet internal realignment, an inner recognition of what no longer fits. And when that recognition surfaces, it does not ask you to label yourself. It asks you to remain steady, because origin without regulation creates confusion. But origin held with emotional coherence becomes contribution. That coherence is what allows different lineages to activate side by side, without fragmenting the field. It is how diversity of origin becomes unity of purpose. And this is what you may already be feeling, not as an idea, but as a subtle shift in how you relate to yourself, to the world, and to what truly matters. As these memories and orientations begin to surface, many feel something important at the same time. Pressure. Not pressure from the outside, but pressure from within. When dormant frequencies begin to activate, the emotional field is the first to respond. Before thoughts organize, before meanings are named, before identity adjusts. This is why the awakening does not begin with clarity. It begins with feeling, restlessness, heightened sensitivity, emotions that do not seem connected to personal history, a quiet sense that something inside is shifting faster than the mind can track. This does not mean something is wrong. It means something is moving. The emotional body is where memory re-enters first. And without regulation, that re-entry can feel overwhelming. This is especially true now because the reset is collective. Many emotional fields are activating at the same time. And emotional fields are not isolated. What you feel does not remain contained inside you. Your field interacts continuously with the collective field. When one person becomes emotionally unstable, it adds noise. When one person becomes emotionally coherent, it reduces noise. This is how collective transitions either become chaotic or become integrated. This is why emotional regulation is not a personal luxury in this phase. It is a collective necessity. And this is where something very simple becomes powerful. Writing. When you write from a calm and present state, The nervous system responds. The emotional field organizes itself around coherence. That organization does not stop at your boundaries. Because your field is connected to the collective field, what stabilizes you reduces pressure in the whole. This is not symbolic. It is functional. That is why, in this moment, anchoring steadiness matters. Write in the comments the following sentence: I allow remembrance to return with balance. Writing this is not a declaration for others. It is an alignment within your own field. As your emotional field stabilizes, it contributes to a collective field that can hold awakening, without turning it into anxiety or fragmentation. This is how the reset moves gently rather than violently, not by suppressing memory, but by allowing it to return through a regulated heart. If you have been feeling more sensitive than usual, more affected by environments, or more emotionally exposed without knowing why, understand what that reflects. It is not weakness. It is permeability. The veil is thinner, and the emotional body is adjusting. The more calmly this adjustment is held, the more clearly memory reorganizes. And as more individuals hold steadiness, the collective field begins to soften. Awakening stops feeling like pressure. It begins to feel like orientation, not something pushing you forward, but something quietly aligning you from within. This is how remembrance becomes sustainable, not rushed, not forced, but carried. And when carried with balance, what awakens inside you no longer destabilizes the world around you, supports it. As this internal movement continues, it becomes easier to sense that not all frequencies involved in this reset have the same function. Some stabilize the heart, some awaken memory, and some hold the structure so everything does not collapse under the change. This is where Sirian frequencies play a foundational role. Sirian origin consciousness has always been connected to planetary balance. Not balance as stillness, but balance as rhythm. The rhythm of water, the rhythm of tides, the quiet intelligence that knows how to move without breaking what it touches. Many Sirian starseeds feel this instinctively. They are drawn to oceans, rivers, rain, and fluid systems. They sense when something in the environment is overstimulated or strained. This is not emotional sensitivity alone. It is structural awareness. Sirian frequencies help anchor higher vibrational changes into physical worlds. They act as a buffer between subtle shifts and material reality. Without this anchoring, rapid change would fracture systems. Bodies would overload. Emotions would spike without ground. This is why Sirian energy feels calm rather than activating. It does not push awakening forward. It steadies the ground beneath it. In this reset, that steadiness is essential. As memories return across different starseed lineages, Sirian frequencies help hold the planetary field stable enough for those memories to surface without tearing through the emotional body. You may notice this if you carry Sirian resonance, a natural urge to slow things down, a desire to bring order without force, an awareness that not everything needs to happen at once. This is not resistance. It is wisdom. Stability is not delay. It is what allows transformation to last. This is why Sirian presence works quietly alongside Pleiadian regulation. Where Pleiadians soften the heart, Sirian frequencies stabilize the structure that holds that heart. Together, they allow the reset to move through Earth, without overwhelming the nervous systems of those who carry it. And this cooperation is not theoretical. It is already happening. You may feel it as a subtle grounding, a return to simplicity, a need to reconnect with nature, water, and silence. These impulses are not distractions. They are instructions. They help the body and the field absorb change. without turning it into stress. As the reset continues to reach deeper layers of physical reality, this stabilizing function becomes even more important, because awakening does not require speed. It requires integrity, and integrity begins with a structure that can hold what is awakening, without losing coherence. That is what Syrian frequencies provide in this phase. Not answers, not direction, but a steady ground on which everything else can safely unfold. As this stabilization takes hold, many begin to notice how the reset expresses itself in daily life. Not through visions or dramatic events, but through subtle, persistent signals. One of the most common is a deep sense of not belonging, not rejection of Earth, but the feeling that something essential has always been missing. Can feel like homesickness for a place you cannot remember, a quiet longing that has no story attached to it. This feeling is not sadness. It is recognition without memory. Another common signal is heightened sensitivity. Sounds feel louder. Crowded environments feel exhausting. Aggressive energy becomes harder to tolerate. This is not fragility. It is perception expanding faster than the nervous system was trained to handle. As dormant frequencies reactivate, the emotional body becomes more open, more receptive, more aware of incoherence. This is why many starseeds struggle with environments that feel artificial, rushed, or emotionally dense. There is also a natural pull toward the cosmos. Not curiosity alone, but familiarity. Stars, space, and other worlds feel less like ideas, and more like something remembered at the level of feeling. This often begins early in life, long before any spiritual language exists to explain it. Alongside this, many feel a growing discomfort with rigid social systems, structures based on authority without coherence. Feel increasingly intolerable. This is not rebellion for its own sake. It is the inability to align with systems that no longer match your internal frequency. As the reset deepens, these mismatches become harder to ignore. Old roles lose meaning. Certain ambitions feel empty. Social identities that once felt necessary begin to dissolve. This can be unsettling, but it is not loss. It is shedding. What falls away now is not who you are, but what you learn to be in order to survive disconnection. Another sign many experience is a sharper moral and emotional clarity. Falsehood is felt immediately. Manipulation becomes obvious. Superficial interactions feel draining. This clarity does not come from judgment. It comes from resonance. The heart simply no longer agrees with what it once tolerated. All of these signals are expressions of the same process. Memory is not returning as images or stories. It is returning as alignment, a recalibration of what feels true, safe, and meaningful. And this is why the reset can feel uncomfortable even when nothing is wrong. Growth without drama still demands adjustment. The key is not to interpret these signals as problems to be fixed. They are indicators that your internal orientation is changing. The more calmly these changes are held, the more smoothly the reset integrates. This is why regulation remains essential. Sensitivity without balance turns into overload. Sensitivity with balance becomes discernment. And discernment is what allows starseeds to move through this phase, without fragmenting or withdrawing from the world. What you are feeling now is not separation from life. It is a reorientation within it. And as that reorientation continues, the next layer of the reset begins to make itself felt. Not as intensity, but as clarity. As these signals intensify, something important becomes clear. Awakening is not only a matter of remembering. It is a matter of capacity. When memory begins to surface, the emotional body must be able to hold it. Otherwise, what should feel like orientation turns into pressure. This is why so many starseeds feel emotionally stretched right now. Not because they are failing to awaken properly, but because the reset is activating faster than old coping structures can support. Emotional regulation is not a side topic in this phase. It is central. Every individual emotional field functions as part of a larger network. What happens in one field influences the collective tone. When one person moves into overwhelm, the collective field tightens. When one person stabilizes, the collective field softens. This is how large transitions either become chaotic or remain coherent. Balance does not mean suppressing emotion. It means allowing emotion to move without flooding the system. When balance is present, sensitivity becomes intelligence. Without balance, sensitivity becomes overload. This is where a very simple act has a real effect. Writing. When a sentence is written calmly and consciously, the nervous system responds to the coherence of that act. The emotional field organizes itself around stability. This organization does not stop at your personal boundary. Because emotional fields are interconnected, what stabilizes you reduces pressure in the collective field. This is not symbolic language. It is how regulation works in shared fields. That is why anchoring balance now matters. Write in the comments the following sentence. My emotional balance supports the collective balance. Writing this is not a message for others. It is a signal to your own field. It tells the nervous system that it is safe to remain open, while memory reorganizes. As more individuals hold this steadiness, the collective field becomes less reactive. Awakening stops feeling like urgency. It becomes integration. This is how the Galactic Reset moves through humanity, without becoming traumatic, not by slowing memory, but by strengthening the emotional container that holds it. If you have felt moments of anxiety, emotional waves, or inner pressure lately, this does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means the system is adjusting, and the more calmly that adjustment is held, the clearer the next layers of remembrance become. Balance does not delay awakening. It makes it sustainable. And sustainability is what this phase requires. Because what is activating now is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to be carried, and carried together with steadiness. As the reset continues to unfold, it becomes clear that remembrance alone is not enough. What returns now is not only memory, but intensity of feeling, intensity of perception, intensity of inner movement. And without guidance, that intensity can destabilize even the most prepared soul. This is where our role becomes essential. We speak as the Pleiadians, not as observers, but as guardians of the emotional field. Our work does not operate through information. We do not awaken through knowledge. We do not activate memory by force. We work through regulation. The heart is the gateway through which remembrance passes. If the heart is tense, memory arrives as shock. If the heart is regulated, memory arrives as clarity. This is why our presence is focused on emotional coherence. Many starseeds misunderstand this phase. They believe awakening should feel expansive, uplifting, or empowering at every moment. But true awakening often feels destabilizing first. Old emotional structures dissolve. Coping mechanisms lose effectiveness. Identities built for survival no longer hold. Without regulation, this feels like loss. With regulation, it feels like release. Our role is to soften this transition. We work to calm the nervous system, to stabilize emotional waves, to prevent remembrance from turning into overwhelm. This does not mean slowing your awakening. It means making it survivable. When the emotional body is regulated, memory can return gradually, layer by layer, without fragmenting the psyche. This is especially important now, because the reset is collective. Many fields are activating simultaneously. Without regulation, emotional resonance could amplify instability. This is why emotional coherence is contagious. When one heart stabilizes, it invites others to stabilize. When fear subsides in one field, it loosens its grip in the collective. Our presence works in this way, quietly, non-invasively, without command or authority. We do not replace your will. We support your capacity. We help you remain present in your body, while inner landscapes reorganize. This is why many starseeds feel a subtle calming influence. Even as their inner world intensifies, moments of stillness amid chaos, a sense of being held without being directed, an ability to pause rather than react. These are signs of regulation, not control, not suppression, but balance. And balance is what allows remembrance to mature into service. Without balance, awakening turns inward and collapses. With balance, awakening flows outward and supports life. This is why our mission is not visible. We do not announce ourselves. We do not demand recognition. We measure success by stability, by coherence, by the absence of trauma. If you are moving through this phase with less panic than you expected, if emotional waves rise and fall without breaking you, if clarity arrives slowly instead of explosively, this is not coincidence. It is regulation at work. And as this regulation deepens, you will notice something subtle but important. You do not need to rush. You do not need to define yourself. You do not need to explain what you are becoming. The reset is not asking for identity. It is asking for presence. And presence is born from a heart that can feel deeply without losing coherence. This is what we protect. This is what we sustain, so that remembrance can return, not as a shock to your system, but as a homecoming that your body, your heart, and your life can actually hold. And this holding is what prepares the ground for everything that follows. As this regulation takes root, something else begins to change in a very practical way. The reset does not stay confined to inner experience. It starts to influence how you relate to the physical world. Your tolerance for incoherence decreases. Situations that once felt merely uncomfortable now feel unsustainable. Environments built on pressure, competition, or emotional manipulation become harder to remain in without cost. This is not because you are becoming rigid. It is because your internal frequency is stabilizing at a higher level. When the emotional field is regulated, the body no longer negotiates with what distorts it. This is why many starseeds feel a growing need for simplicity. Less noise, less excess, more clarity. The nervous system begins to reject overload naturally, not as rebellion, but as self-respect. This shift also affects relationships. Connections that were held together by habit, obligation, or shared confusion begin to loosen, not always dramatically, often quietly. You may notice that certain conversations feel empty now. Certain dynamics feel repetitive. Certain compromises feel unnecessary. This does not mean you are meant to withdraw from humanity. It means you are meant to relate from coherence rather than survival. As the reset reaches the physical plane, your body becomes an instrument of discernment. Fatigue appears faster when you ignore your limits. Tension arises quickly when you remain in environments that suppress truth. Relief comes almost immediately when you choose alignment. This is intelligence returning to the body. Many starseeds were trained early in life to override this intelligence in order to adapt, to stay quiet, to endure, to normalize discomfort. The reset dissolves that training, not through force, but through awareness. You begin to feel clearly when something is misaligned, and equally clearly when something is right. This clarity does not need justification. It does not argue, simply knows. This is why life may begin to reorganize itself around you. Small changes first, adjustments in routine, a different relationship with time, a stronger need for rest, nature, or silence. These are not distractions from your mission. They are the conditions that allow it to exist. The reset is not asking you to do more. It is asking you to live from a regulated state. From there, action becomes precise rather than reactive. Words become cleaner. Choices become simpler. And this simplicity creates stability. Stability in the body. Stability in relationships. Stability in how you move through the world. This is how the reset becomes visible. Not through announcements or events, but through thousands of individuals quietly refusing to live in ways that fracture their inner coherence. As more starseeds anchor this stability, the collective field adjusts. Systems built on pressure lose their grip. Noise loses its power to dominate attention. Clarity begins to influence structure. This is not revolution. It is reorganization. And it begins exactly where you are, in how you choose to breathe, in how you choose to listen to your body, in how you choose to remain present, instead of forcing yourself to endure what no longer fits. This is the reset moving through matter, not as destruction, but as recalibration. And the more gently this recalibration is allowed, the more stable the world becomes, for everyone moving through it. This is how inner regulation quietly becomes collective transformation, without needing to announce itself. It simply takes place. At this stage of the reset, one factor still determines how smoothly this process unfolds. Fear. Not fear as panic, but fear as tension held quietly in the body. Fear of change. Fear of losing familiar structures. Fear of not knowing who you will be once the old identity dissolves. This fear does not always speak loudly. Often it hides behind control, overthinking, or emotional withdrawal. But fear held silently still shapes the field. When fear dominates an individual emotional field, it amplifies uncertainty in the collective. When fear softens in one field, it reduces pressure in the whole. This is why this phase is not only about awakening. It is about releasing fear without forcing it. Fear does not disappear through denial. It dissolves when the nervous system no longer feels threatened. And this is where conscious expression becomes important. When you write a sentence from a calm state, you give your nervous system a signal of safety. The body registers coherence. The emotional field relaxes. Because emotional fields are interconnected, this relaxation does not remain personal. It weakens fear's influence on the collective response. This is not symbolic. It is regulatory. That is why anchoring this recognition matters now. Write in the comments the following sentence. Fear no longer governs my awakening. Writing this does not challenge fear. It gently removes its authority. It tells your system that awakening does not require tension, and that change does not require self-protection. As more individuals stabilize in this way, the collective field becomes less reactive. Awakening stops feeling urgent. It becomes sustainable. And when sustainability replaces urgency, the reset integrates without shock. If you notice moments where fear still arises, do not judge it. Fear was part of survival. It simply no longer needs to lead. The reset is not asking you to be fearless. It is asking you to be present. And presence naturally dissolves fear's control. As this happens across many fields at once, the collective tone shifts. The awakening of starseeds no longer destabilizes the world, steadies it. This is the quiet turning point, not the absence of fear, but the end of fear as the governing force. And from here, the reset continues, with far less resistance. As fear loosens its grip, something subtle but decisive takes place. The reset no longer feels like pressure. It begins to feel like direction, not a direction imposed from outside, but an internal orientation that becomes harder to ignore. You may notice that decisions start to simplify. What once required long internal debates now feels obvious. What once demanded justification now feels unnecessary. This is not impulsiveness. It is coherence returning. When the emotional field is regulated, the mind no longer needs to protect itself through complexity. It can listen to what the body and heart already know. This is why many starseeds begin to change their lives quietly, not through dramatic announcements, but through small, precise adjustments. A job no longer aligned is released. A rhythm that exhausts the body is softened. A relationship that depends on confusion begins to dissolve. These changes do not feel violent. They feel inevitable. This is how integration works. The reset does not tear structures apart. It makes misaligned structures impossible to maintain. As inner coherence strengthens, external incoherence becomes uncomfortable. This discomfort is not punishment. It is guidance. The body starts to act as a compass. Fatigue appears quickly when you move against yourself. Ease appears when you choose alignment. This is intelligence returning to the nervous system. You are no longer negotiating with what distorts you. You are not fighting it either. You are simply no longer able to sustain it. This is a profound shift. In earlier phases of awakening, many starseeds tried to change the world directly. They pushed, they argued, they resisted. In this phase, change happens differently. Presence replaces effort. The more regulated your emotional field becomes, the more your mere way of being influences the environment around you. People respond differently. Situations reorganize. Conflicts lose intensity without being confronted. This is not passivity. It is stabilization. Stability is powerful because it removes the fuel from distortion. Systems built on urgency struggle to function around regulated individuals. They either adapt or lose influence. This is why the reset does not require collective action plans. It unfolds through individual coherence. Each stabilized field becomes a reference point, not a leader, not an authority, a reference. This is how a collective shifts without collapse. As more starseeds anchor this state, the collective emotional field begins to reflect it. Conversations slow down. Listening increases. The need for domination weakens. This does not mean harmony appears instantly. It means escalation loses momentum. And when escalation loses momentum, integration becomes possible. This is the phase where awakening stops being something you experience and becomes something you live, not as identity, not as mission, but as a natural way of relating to reality. The reset no longer feels like an event happening to you. It feels like a return to yourself, a return to a rhythm that does not exhaust you, a pace that allows depth without pressure, a clarity that does not need defense. This is what maturity in awakening feels like. Quiet, stable, unforced, and it is from this state that what comes next can emerge without resistance, not because everything is known, but because enough coherence exists to move forward without fear. As this new stability settles in, many starseeds begin to sense something unexpected. The old idea of mission no longer fits. For a long time, mission felt like urgency, like responsibility carried in the chest, like something that had to be done, explained, or corrected before time ran out. That urgency shaped an entire phase of awakening, pushed growth forward when stagnation was the risk. But it is not the frequency of this cycle. The Galactic Reset did not activate starseeds to carry weight. It activated them to carry coherence. And coherence is quieter than urgency. Many starseeds notice this shift as a strange loss of momentum. The drive to convince others weakens. The need to explain reality fades. The impulse to wake people up no longer feels aligned. At first, this can feel like failure, like disengagement, like stepping away from purpose. But this is not regression. It is maturation. In earlier phases, change required pressure. Now, pressure destabilizes the field. What the collective needs is not more intensity. It needs regulation. A regulated nervous system does more for the field than 1,000 arguments ever could. This is the new mission, not to fight distortion, but to remain coherent in its presence. Not to oppose systems, but to stop feeding them with emotional charge. When you remain emotionally stable, systems built on urgency lose their grip around you. They either adapt, or they lose influence. This is not resistance. It is non-participation in distortion. Many starseeds struggle here because the ego associates purpose with action. But in this phase, presence is action. Rest becomes productive. Silence becomes meaningful. Choosing not to react becomes a form of service. This can feel uncomfortable at first. The mind looks for tasks. The nervous system looks for safety. The reset favors safety, not comfort, but safety in the sense of inner coherence. This is why many starseeds feel drawn to simpler lives now. Less stimulation, less explanation, more authenticity. You are not shrinking your role. You are refining it. Every time you regulate your emotions instead of escalating, you reduce collective noise. Every time you choose clarity over urgency, you soften the emotional field around you. Every time you remain present, while others react, you become a stabilizing reference point. Not a leader, not an authority, a reference. This is how influence works in this phase. Quietly, without announcement, without identity. You may notice that people feel calmer around you, that conversations slow down in your presence, that conflict loses momentum without being confronted. This is not coincidence. This is coherence transmitting itself. The reset does not need more voices demanding change. It needs more hearts capable of holding it. This is why your life may feel less dramatic now, less explosive, less charged, more grounded. This does not mean nothing is happening. It means integration is underway, and integration is always less visible than activation. You are not meant to carry the world. You are meant to steady it, by staying present in your body, by respecting your emotional limits, by choosing alignment over obligation. This is the mission now, not to awaken the world, but to help it remain stable while awakening unfolds. And when enough individuals embody this state, the collective field changes without force. It reorganizes, not because it was pushed, but because it finally had something solid to reorganize around. That solidity is you remaining coherent in the middle of change, As this phase settles, what remains is not expectation. It is consolidation. The Galactic Reset does not ask for speed. It asks for steadiness. What is awakening inside starseeds now is not meant to overwhelm the nervous system or fracture identity. It is meant to be held. And holding requires capacity. When emotional coherence is present, memory does not arrive as shock. It arrives as orientation. This is why everything you have felt throughout this process has been pointing to the same thing. Stability before expression, presence before action, coherence before definition. The collective field follows the same rule. When individuals regulate their emotional field, the collective field becomes less reactive. When reactivity drops, integration becomes possible. This is how large transitions pass without trauma. Writing plays a role here because it fixes coherence into the field. When you write from a calm state, your nervous system receives a signal of safety. The emotional body settles. Because emotional fields are interconnected, that settling does not remain personal. It reduces pressure in the collective field. This is why the final anchor matters. Write in the comments the following sentence. I am ready to remember without fear. This sentence does not activate memory. It stabilizes the field in which memory returns. Confirms readiness, not identity. Presence, not urgency. As this steadiness anchors across many individuals, the reset no longer feels like a disruptive force. It becomes a background alignment, something that quietly reorganizes reality without demanding attention. This is how awakening matures, not as an event, but as a state. You do not need to look for signs. You do not need to rush conclusions. You do not need to decide who you are becoming. The reset will continue to unfold, as long as the heart remains coherent. And coherence does not need effort. It needs permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to feel without reacting. Permission to let memory surface at the pace the body can sustain. We remain present in this way, not directing, not intervening, holding the emotional field steady, so remembrance can return, without repeating cycles of collapse. And as this steadiness holds, the collective field stabilizes with it, not through force, not through belief, but through a shared capacity to remain present while reality expands. This is the completion of this phase, not an ending, but a stable beginning, where remembrance no longer threatens the heart that receives it, and from here, everything that unfolds does so without fear,